Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So I had to do a quick swap, as some of you guys may have noticed, but I'm going to explain why. But today, I'm going to talk about the next country about to embrace Bitcoin, and that's Paraguay, another Latin American country that's a little bit bigger than El Salvador. So let's talk about this and what this means for Bitcoin and other crypto news. Thanks for tuning in. As always, smash a like, subscribe to the channel. 2 streams every day, 11:30 and 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, although our weekend's a little off. That's why you want to hit that notification bell and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, no longer TikTok, and I'm going to explain why, and CryptosRUs.com. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. Welcome to this Saturday morning, at least for those of us Saturday afternoon. It's not morning time anymore. Let me change my screen here. You know what? Bitcoin was doing pretty darn good, above 34,000, and it just came back down a little bit. Overall, still going sideways, as you notice. It hasn't really moved, right? So we're still in that waiting phase. Now, I did want to address something that I got caught off guard, but I did see a lot of people talk about this tweet supposedly from Israel Investment Group, which is a sovereign group, investment group from Israel. And if you tweet it, if you translate this, it shows that they have bought $2.3 billion worth of Bitcoin. Now, this was the original main title. And there's even an article that's about it. But supposedly, this is all fake. This article is written based on this tweet, and this tweet is from an account that is not legit. So actually, at first I'm like, are you sure? It's because people are telling me, are you sure this is not legit? But if you look at some of these responses, then you could tell it's definitely not legit. So like there was one response that says, okay, have fun staying poor. Yeah, Israel Investment Fund Group would not be saying that to people on Twitter. So I do think this is definitely fake. But that's okay. That's okay. Because we do have Paraguay. And this is another country from Latin America that we have talked about. And this is a legit account. And this was tweeted out yesterday, last night or afternoon. I'm here to unite Paraguay. That is why we decided with Senator to present together to build Bitcoin on Wednesday, July 14th. Interesting. Stay tuned, since there will be a mega surprise for Paraguay and the world. Something giant is coming, hashtag Bitcoin. So whatever this is, it's going to be just as big as the announcement from El Salvador. Are they going to fully embrace Bitcoin, meaning making a legal tender? Okay, like actually a currency that citizens can actually use? Or are they going to go even further than that? Are they going to open up, provide incentives for Bitcoin miners that are coming out of China? Or are they going to buy Bitcoin directly? And keep in mind, this is also coming 2 days before the unlock. Maybe they announce something crazier that just go buy all this GBTC shares. It's unlikely, but who knows? Who knows? We only have to wait a few more days to find out. But Paraguay, I was just looking them up. They have a population of about 7 million. So slightly larger than El Salvador. El Salvador is about 6 million, 6.5 million. Small country, yes. But again, if you're taking into account that citizens will now be able to use Bitcoin as legal tender, as real money that you can spend everywhere within the country, well, that's 6 million plus 7 million. That's instantly 13 million more people that's exposed and holding on to Bitcoin, right? And El Salvador is buying a whole bunch of Bitcoin to give to their citizens. I think it's like $30 worth of Bitcoin for all of their citizens. Who knows if Paraguay is going to do the same thing, right? Now, why is Paraguay doing this? Why are they following the same footsteps? Well, it's kind of the same thing. Because they're a smaller, poorer country, guess what? They're at the mercy of the World Bank and the mercy of the IMF. These are two entities. They're basically global banks. Okay, you have regional banks, you have federal banks, you have and then you have like these world banks, which is basically the IMF and World Bank. the name is appropriate, World Bank. So they're really at their mercy right now. I mean, the country was hit hard by COVID, like a lot of other countries. Obviously, I would say they're a third world country. So they do need funds time and again. But, once you take these funds, it's basically you're trapped. Just like the rest of us that have any kind of mortgage or a car loan or whatever, you're basically at the mercy of the lender, the one that have let you borrow the money, right? And you're kind of trapped there. So it looks like Paraguay wants to do something similar, provide another revenue for their citizens and for themselves, right? To be able to prosper with Bitcoin and with everyone else that is buying in. So this is coming up very, very soon and very, very positive. Last night, some of you guys may have caught this, but maybe not. Something else that's very positive, something that is within the United States, is you have a very large investment group, International Capital Group, that bought 22% of all MicroStrategy stock, roughly $600 million. $600 million. Capital investment is enormous. I think they have about 400 billion of investments out there, and I saw that the number of assets they hold is even larger. They're on the same level as like Fidelity. So they're absolutely huge. Now, they didn't disclose buying Bitcoin, but buying MicroStrategy is the next best thing, really. MicroStrategy stock at this point is basically a Bitcoin ETF. I mean, there's no other company out there that holds more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy, roughly around 3.5 billion at this time. And this is really just one big Bitcoin play. MicroStrategy stock, if you chart it, same movement of Bitcoin at this point. No one is buying MicroStrategy stock for their business intelligence division. No one. They're buying it because they want to get exposure to Bitcoin. And this is more direct than even Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, where there is a lockup and you have to worry about premiums. And sometimes that premium is negative. For MicroStrategy, it's just a stock. It's really the closest thing we have to Bitcoin ETF until there is a Bitcoin ETF. Now, you may be thinking, well, no, there is a Bitcoin ETF from Canada. Well, there are rules and regulations with that. But if you're in the U.S. and you want a Bitcoin ETF from the U.S., you go with basic MicroStrategy. And this is also pretty darn big. The basic counters, a lot of the sentiment recently about there's just no more buyers, right? No one's interested. Investors, specifically institutional investors, Wall Street, big boys, they're not going to jump anymore. They're not really interested. Well, this kind of shows otherwise, right? And you still have countries that is looking to jump into. So you can't dispute this. I mean, the number of people and institutions and companies that's buying right now is still relatively small compared to what's really out there. Especially if you look at how much money is really out there, this is a small amount and we're only getting started. Now, something else that's pretty interesting, you could take this as a bad thing or as a good thing. I'm going to take it as a good thing, and that is what this article is saying. And that is, if you look at stock to flow versus Bitcoin's price right now, we're at a record 59% below. And Bitcoin has never been this far off from the stock to flow model in history, which you could take into, well, you could read this a number of ways. According to Plan B, he did say that at some point the stock to flow will not accurately track Bitcoin, although up until this point in time, it has followed it pretty much perfectly. But at some point, it's going to deviate, right? Is it now? Well, according to Plan B, he doesn't think so. He still thinks that Bitcoin at a minimum will be at 133,000 by the end of the year. And by October, we're going to be at least 45. I think he said 45,000 by the end of the year. No, 47,000 by the end of August. And then we will continue on. So this is what it looks like right now. You can see that, I mean, when you're looking at a grander scale like this, it doesn't really look like you're that far off from, this model. But according to this on Glassnode, if you look at stock to flow deflection, we are at a very, very low point. So roughly 59% off. According to this, we should be at 82,000 for Bitcoin already. Which, if you think about, we were at 64,000. So 64,000 to 82,000 is not that far off. If you're thinking about it now, 34,000 to 82, that's double, right? But we were not that far off. And had maybe we didn't have the Elon FUD, we didn't have the ESG FUD, we didn't have all this come out at the same time when China just so happened to push out all the miners. If we didn't have those things, maybe we would be at 82,000 right now. But I still stick with my views on the current run, which is it's not over. I don't think this run is over. I think this is a temporary setback, and based on what I'm showing you guys, I do think there's some data to back up. But according to this, stock to flow is really, really off right now. So you could take this one of two ways. You could be a bear and say, well, this shows that the stock to flow model is now being invalidated. We're going to head into a bear market and everything is coming down. So I know the bears, the naysayers will say that. But if you are on the opposite side, if you're a bull, you would take this as a great buying opportunity, like this bolded headline. So you could take this one or two ways. And there's a lot of other models and metrics that also show that right now, Bitcoin where it is at a bottom. It's a very similar point that we seen when Bitcoin was at 3,800, 3,100. Some of these on-chain metrics show that we're at that same point, right? So you could also use this as a bottom indicator. Depends on if you're a bear or a bull at this point. What else? At the beginning, last thing, TikTok all of a sudden said no more crypto ads, which is really strange because I'm on TikTok all the time and I hardly see any crypto ads at all. And there are some much worse videos on there. There's a lot of stock tips, a lot of, ape tips into GME and AMC and so forth. And there's just a lot of weird stuff that goes on TikTok. So it's funny that all of a sudden they decided to ban crypto ads. Interesting. Now, this happened to have to do with China because we know TikTok is created by a Chinese-based company. So does this have to do with them? That China right now wants to, keep a lid on crypto because they want to push their digital yuan. Does that have something to do with that? I don't know. Maybe I'm just throwing out theories out there, or maybe they just want to be ahead of the game. But it's funny because Google is going to allow crypto ads once again, I believe in August. I think that is coming. So for the past 3 years, Google AdSense did not allow you to advertise any kind of crypto, and they're getting rid of that. So it's kind of interesting how this is happening right now. But anyways, I did have a few videos on TikTok. It's just a pain to make. I didn't have time to really spend on it. So I'm glad I didn't focus too much on them. So it's one less platform I have to focus on. All right. Outside of that, that's pretty much it. I mean, Bitcoin was doing pretty well, and then it kind of dived. You look at that right before the stream. Maybe some whales are timing my stream. So right when I started streaming, it came back down again. But overall, we're still stuck in that range. So, like I've been saying for the past few days, few weeks, you just got to give it time. It's a boring market right now, I know. Everyone is trying to bring up either positive or negative things, even the littlest things, to either encourage you guys or scare you guys. But I'm always here to encourage you guys because I honestly don't feel like this is the end. And I reevaluate all the time. I want to make sure that I'm giving the right, my right view or my right opinion. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, I don't think anything has changed other than there's a lot of fun, a lot of people scared, retail investors that got in, got out, right? And after this Grayscale unlocking, which I think is a non-event because Grayscale is not selling Bitcoin, You know, these investors that may be dumping, which I still question, you know, they would be dumping GBDC, which is not BTC. They're just dumping the shares. So it should be a non-event. So we'll see. We'll see afterwards. It could be the catalyst for Bitcoin to start moving again. All right, that's it. Let's do some quick Q&A. Sorry, I was talking to myself and my mic was muted, so apologize for that. Yeah, I was answering Patriots Uprising, and he was asking about ETH down, which is a 3x leverage token. So you have to be careful when you're doing something like that. But I don't know about this other wallet coin that you're talking about. Sorry, I was talking to myself once again. Yeah, I was going to answer about time. Someone said time is on our side. Yes, it doesn't matter what you're investing in. Bitcoin, altcoins, it could be stocks, it could be real estate, it could be pretty much anything. Anything that's investment. When you get in and it's hot, yes, it seems like the gains never stop until they do. And then you have to wait it out. That's just how it always is, right? Too many people jump in when something's up, and it just seems like it cannot ever stop until it does. But if you're buying something that's really, you know, disruptive technology, or something that's just really rare and valuable, and something that people want, okay? So you know it's gonna come back. You just have to wait. It's a waiting game. It's a waiting game. All right, so now I'm gonna scroll down, make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, the BTC hash rate. You know what? I didn't check that Let me check that real quick. So if it looked like, last time I checked, it looked like it found a bottom and it was turning up. Let me see if it turned up more. Yeah. So if you look at a 7-day average, obviously if you scroll out, you know, pretty significant dip if you look at all time. Let's just say 3 years. It's about the same point. It dropped to the same point as 2019, but now it has bounced up, right? So this could be that turning point where like right now, if you're mining Bitcoin, your profits are doubled because the hash rate has dropped by 50%. So this is a turning point where existing miners outside of China could be spinning up a lot more machines, or some of those that have moved is starting to spin up once again. I mean, this is the perfect time to be if you're a miner, this is the perfect time to be spinning up as much as you can, because within the next 2 weeks, it's going to be very, very profitable. So this could also be another bottom indicator. This, if we see a significant like trend back up, that would be very good. What else is there? Someone says my DeFi pet. That's probably like some kind of game. Yeah. No. Someone asked, do more videos about Ethereum Classic. I'm like, I just did one last night. There's not a whole lot of topics to talk about Ethereum Classic. I know Charles, with their history with his history with Ethereum, and Ethereum Classic's history, of course, with Ethereum. There's a lot of ties with IOHK and stuff like that, but still, it's it is what it is, and there's just not a whole lot to talk about right now with Ethereum Classic. All their hard forks is basically adding improvement protocols from Ethereum. So it's even that's not very exciting to talk about. What else is there? Your take on central banks using XRP as settlement token and providing liquidity to the market. That's what that's what Ripple wants to do, but unfortunately, it's not happening. It's not. No banks, no central banks, not even financial institutions is using XRP as a settlement token. Some are using XRP, but they're not using XRP. I mean, they're using the ledger, I should say, clarify, but they're not using XRP. And MoneyGram, who Ripple bought into, right, distanced themselves away from Ripple after the lawsuit with SEC. They actually came out and said, no, we haven't been using XRP at all. We've been just paid with XRP. So that's the end game. They want everyone to use XRP. Ripple does. But it hasn't happened yet. And the adoption is tough because banks are coming out with their own. Super Google Lee. Hi, George. Can you explain how do I pay bills with staking or crypto-backed loans without selling my bag? Well, it's very dangerous for you to do that. You still have to remember that if you're taking a loan against your Bitcoin, you're putting out collateral, right? If that underlying asset, or in this case crypto, goes down by 50%, you go get margin call. So it's not worry-free. But if you do put it into something like a lender, let's say you go with BlockFi, you put down your Bitcoin, you take a loan, right? That loan, you could do whatever you want with it. You could go pay loans, other loans or credit cards or whatever with it. You could buy more crypto with it. That's what most people do. You could do whatever you want with it. That's what Michael Saylor have suggested in the past. That's what ultra rich are doing with their stocks. But they have enough to cover if they get margin called. If you do not, then you're going to be in trouble. Then your crypto is going to be sold off to cover for the margin call. So I still don't advise that. I don't. Just got 9K VeChain. In your opinion, what's the price potential? I've given enough price predictions. Just look at where Bitcoin is, okay? Where you think it's going to go. In my case, I think it's at least 100,000. That's 3x from here. So altcoins will probably be double that. So anywhere from 3 to 6x, so that you do the math. Dope photography, really appreciate that. I hope you have a wonderful day too. Naughty, I know. I can tell if my sound is on or off. Yeah, I'm gonna put those guys in timeouts there. Ethereum year-end prediction. I gave it already. I gave it plenty of time. Same thing. What my answer with VeChain is. If you look at Ethereum, it's what, 2,000, right? Bitcoin's gonna go to 3x. by the end of the year, at least 3x. Ethereum is at least 3x, but Ethereum could go as high as 8,000, 10,000 by the end of the year. Someone is 3:36 a.m. in Australia. Well, I'm glad you're up and watching me. What else is there? Last few questions. Scroll down. Seems like most of the time crypto news headlines are speculation on future events in this space. Have you gone back 6 months or a year to see if any of these huge news ever came true? Yeah. For example, this Paraguay news. This was reported about a month ago. After El Salvador came out, there was a lot of rumbles like, who's next? And Paraguay's name came up. And it does seem like something is actually happening. And it's the same thing. There's a lot of speculations one way or another, but a lot of them do come true. Even I remember some of the big headlines, about Bitcoin ETF and so forth. Even though in the U.S. hasn't come yet, but we finally do have Bitcoin ETFs, right? In Canada and in Latin America soon. And all the headlines about, someone like Tesla getting into Bitcoin, that was predicted years ago because it just makes sense. It happened. So sometimes they pan out. Sometimes quicker than others. Matt says, BPro just released an NFT marketplace. Interesting. I'll have to check it out. Let's see. Real quick. Where's their marketplace? I know they were working on it, but I don't see it here. Maybe it's on their Twitter, but I'll check it out later. BPro, I have them in my portfolio still. I know that they have become weaker recently because they're a microcap, but I still like Rue. I still think they're executing, and their new NFT marketplace could do good things for them. Mark Smith says VeChain is crazy undervalued. I do believe so. I made my case with James on Invest Answers. Singularity Net. No, I'm not a fan of AI marketplaces. Do you think the stimulus checks artificially pumped the crypto market? A few people I know mindlessly threw these checks at crypto and then panic sold. Yeah. I think honestly the reason why we're here right now at 30s and we're kind of just like going sideways is because on the upside from 30s to 60s, I think a lot of people were FOMOing in, including retail investors that received stimulus checks and they put into crypto. And for the most part, I think they have all sold off. Everyone that got scared, didn't really understand, doesn't care about anything other than to make a quick buck, I think they're probably all out, which is why we're at where we're at, which is pretty amazing if you think about it, right? But keep in mind, the big boys, like Michael Saylor, continues to buy more and more Bitcoins. He has over 111,000 just from MicroStrategy alone. Not to mention he has his own bags too, about 20,000 for himself. And of course, you still have Square and Tesla and everyone at Mara and Riot and Voyager and Galaxy Digital. All these guys are just buying and holding. And you have more that's buying and holding too. So right now, I think the price is not moving really because the holders are holding and adding. The big boys are still adding, right? But OTC markets, so we don't really notice it. But a lot of the retail investors that got in, that drove prices up, have pretty much exited the market, but that'll come back. When Bitcoin starts rising again, they're going to come back and regret that they sold. And they'll start over again. That's how it always is with every cycle. But the good thing is with every cycle, some of the retail investors that come in actually stay in for the long haul. So you get a little bit more holders, right? Eventually, when all the Bitcoin from the spot markets dry up, that's when Bitcoin will be million plus. I'm really sorry to hear that you invest in those absolutely garbage coins. So those would be two that I would not recommend dollar cost averaging in. Vikram, do you see huge XRP breakout by the end of the year? Yeah, I think especially if they settle their SEC lawsuit, which could come by the end of this year or next year. But with the market going up again, I definitely see XRP will continue going. All right, that is, someone said Charles mentioned about singularity.net. Okay, you don't have to keep shouting it. I think that's pretty much it. Someone says I bought BTC at 54,500. I'm holding forever. I mean, honestly, that's the right way to think about it. I know everyone is saying that, the naysayers will always say, or people that are pretending to be like expert traders or something like that. They'll say, oh, it was so stupid to hold Bitcoin at 20,000 all the way down to the bottom. Sure. But there's so many people that did and continue to dollar cost average, and now they made a ton, right? And it's not just Bitcoin, with altcoins too. So yeah, it's obviously it's awesome if you can time it perfectly, right? Yeah, that's the best way to do it. But for something like Bitcoin, something that's just go increase in value over time, despite the short-term volatility, the path is just up and up and up. For something like that, there's nothing wrong with just keep holding a dollar cost averaging, right? So even though you may be down, stick with it. It's my opinion. All right, that is it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.